Hello again, YouTube. This is The Truth Man. The channel is the No Matrix, No Simping, All Subjects channel. So on this video, we talk a lot about modern women, but I want to talk about something that's very important with modern men. And this includes myself, that we have to get under control. I'm going to give you many examples, and that is our egos. Let me show you something. A lot of guys are dead because of their ego. A lot of guys are in prison because of their ego. You had a 304, she was messing with other dudes, she was in your head, you got the simping, and you want to do stuff to the other dudes. A lot of guys in prison right now for this type of stuff. But it all goes down to the ego. Somebody was trying to tell me, man, Tom Brady wants Giselle back, this, that, and the other, right? It was his ego. That's what it was. I heard Shaq talking about this. Shaq said, he admitted, see, when you get a little older, you get a little wiser, and you can look back at some things, and you'll have some regrets. But Shaq said him and Kobe could have won 7 championships if it wasn't for his ego. Like, think about it. He was refusing to take a pay cut, right? But he could have just been like, you know what, I'm gonna take this pay cut, but I'm gonna really be pushing for more endorsements, so I ain't gonna lose no money. Ego. 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 Guys be showing off in these cars. Done drunk too much. Shouldn't even be driving. Ego. Henry Ruggs III. Man, can you imagine if Henry Ruggs gets off of this case and he humbles himself and the Raiders take him back? The receiving core that he would create with Davante Adams. But should Henry Ruggs get off of this? Telling you, your ego will get you in trouble. I know I could be a whole lot richer, but it was my ego at times. It was my ego. Like when I was running track in college, I didn't want to do the workouts. I quit. Ego. Ego. Like, man, it's too much, man. I feel like I'm missing something. I can't do it. But now you get older, you look back, and I wonder, like, how the first time, like, because when I was in high school, I wasn't as fast as I was when I was in college. So I wasn't a sprinter. Like, I was getting put in races where I was losing just to be, you know, to get the letter. I was in long distance. Them white boys was lapping me, smoking me. Only because we had such a good track team and so many sprinters. I wasn't faster than them. So, you know, and they, like, I remember this one in particular. Like, it was this one in particular. That was my guy, too. This guy named Arlust. So he was getting mad because he told me, like, man, if he put you in the 400 or the 800, you would win every time. He didn't like the track coach for that reason. And he was planning a boycott. Said, man, he racist, man. He's trying to embarrass you. But I actually liked the track coach. Like, he was cool. But he thought that he was trying to embarrass me. So he was organizing a boycott with the other track. I said, man, don't worry about that, man. Said, I'm going to get a letter when it's all said and done. And I did. So, but he was like, he was right. I got to college, boy. I don't know what happened. I got a growth spurt too. And I had some supplements I was taking, you know, but I got way faster. And I was going to be a sprinter in college, you know, and I look back like, man, I probably would have graduated if I would have just stayed on the track team. And I would have got my fair shot with football again. You know, so I look back sometimes and wonder, like, if I would have been able to get rid of my ego and just You know, just keep doing them workouts and stuff. Don't worry about that party and all that. Trying to play around like I was doing in college and stuff like that. What it could have been. That was fast, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like I had it. But my ego got in the way. My ego got in the way so many times in my life. You know, it got to the point you get older and you know when it's your ego or when it's just the right decision. Because sometimes the right decision could look like the wrong decision to other people. But you get older and you start knowing the difference. But what I want to say to you younger guys, man, y'all got to control your ego. Like even on YouTube, I noticed some of the younger content creators, it's a thing going on in this country, period, where people just don't want to give the older people that came before them their flowers. It's happening in rap music. It's happening in sports. It's happening in almost everything. These young people, it's their egos. Think about it. These gangster rappers with that. If Spice One, Ice Cube, Bone Thugs, Tupac, all them wasn't Pimp C, if all of them wasn't what they were, people would be like, man, I don't want to hear that. I already know it's going to be whack. But they get a chance to rap because of them. If the NFL wasn't what it was in the 80s with Joe Montana and all of them, and in the 90s with Brett Favre and Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin, Shannon Sharp and all them, people wouldn't be watching it today like they do. If the NBA wasn't what it was in the 90s with Jordan and Bird, and the 80s, Isaiah Thomas, all of them, would we even know how good LeBron is and how good Kobe was and Iverson? See, you gotta always control your egos, man. Just like now on YouTube. But both do. The older people do, the younger people do. On YouTube now you got a couple dudes, a couple of them got pushed back hairlines, but they always trying to roast and trying to not give the people who were good enough for them to have a platform. Like going back to the 2000s, I don't like Tommy Sotomayor like that, but you got to give the man his credit because he was on YouTube for a long time. Ringo, Tommy Sotomayor. I don't know if he still make videos, but back then it was Neo, what it was, Neo 144. If those guys didn't handle business back then, YouTube wouldn't be what it is today. You know, it just wouldn't, man. So when you come in here, that's what you gotta remember. You gotta keep checking, like they say, check your egos at the door. People don't be wanting to do that. Like even these younger guys, like your neighborhood, like the dudes, you gotta realize something, man. Like even from a street standpoint, right? The guys that was on your block and the block you be on before you should be showing them respect. Because some people respect your block because of them. It ain't always because of you. Like even going back to 19th Street, where I'm from. Like, yeah, these guys, some of, the younger dudes, they know them and I mean, they do what they do. But you don't get respect just because of you. You get respect because the people that came before you. See, that's how you keep audiences. If it's some type of marketing you want to do, if it's some type of you want to keep and grow your customer base, clientele, whatever it is, whatever niche you in, you need to learn how to check your ego. You need to check your ego. You know, even if you like a political figure, check your ego, man. You get to doing stuff against people who ain't never did nothing to you because you thinking you too much better than them. You can't enjoy life. You thinking about population reduction. Man, get out of here. Check your ego, man. Think about before you got big. Think about before you got big. What if somebody would have came along talking about trying to create stuff to take you out? How would you feel about that? People don't be wanting to check their egos, man. Like some dudes will stay with a woman because their ego. They don't want it to look like they breaking their family up. They don't want it to look like somebody don't want them. Man, check your ego, man. Check your ego in. You don't want to take risk in life because you don't want to go backwards. It's all type of ways people ego get in the way. You working a job you hate because your ego, you don't want that car to get repossessed. Well, when you start developing stuff, they're going to get it anyway. People don't be wanting to check their egos in. Like even like when you dealing with the Most High, you got to check your ego. Because he'll humiliate you. Like he won't. This how he be doing. You will want to quit everything that he has anything to deal with. You're going to want to quit. Because he's not gonna throw you out there until you check your ego in and you take the attitude where I'm doing this for him because I love him. I'm doing this for him because he deserves it. And you check your ego in, just like, man, Christianity had it, man. They had the title, man, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, man. But now a lot of them dudes will not check their egos in. So they pushed the Most High to the side and kept trying to do what they doing. And more, he was out of it. And so he like, okay, you want to put me to the side. He basically let the devil like make Christianity like less of a factor. When they was a big time factor in the 80s, the 90s, and the early 2000s. Now, some of those guys that had like mega churches, I don't got a lot of subs, but I got more subs than some of them. I don't get a lot of views, but I get more views than some of them. Why? Because they didn't check their egos in. Like one in particular, I ain't gonna throw her under the bus, but my brother-in-law know her, and she act like she couldn't even look at people when she talked. Like she act like she was too good to talk to people. She told him, my assistant over there, like she was telling him, don't talk to me, talk to my assistant. But you supposed to be a woman of God. Now I get more views than her. She didn't check her ego in. The Bible say, humble yourself and he will lift you up. If you ain't never went through nothing, you ain't never lost nothing, man, I already know. I ain't listening to no preacher that ain't never went through nothing or lost nothing. You ain't ready. You can say what you want. You can know how to talk, preach. If you ain't never went through nothing or lost nothing, I'm not listening to you because I know you're not ready. You full of ego. You ain't never lost nothing. You ain't never got ostracized. You ain't never went through nothing where you practically have to beg God and you still don't get it. Come on now. This is real preaching. See, people be wanting to preach and stuff. Look, I got a whole lineup of suits. But you don't know the behind the scenes. You don't know the behind the scenes where sometimes the Most High won't answer your prayers just to see how much you gonna seek him. You get mad at him, you don't want to talk to him, but you have such love for him that you still end up talking to him. You end up apologizing to the Most High God. And all y'all do is talking about y'all a prophet. If you ain't never had to apologize to the Most High, you ain't never lost nothing. You ain't never been humiliated where people say, if he's so saved, you ain't ready. I already know you ain't ready. Because sometimes even your family will be seeming like they done turned against you. That's when the Most High be like, now you're going to listen. Now I know I got your attention. Then he started loving on you, and loving on you, and loving on you. And especially if you a tough guy, the Most High ain't gonna rest till he make you cry. Y'all be talking about this preaching stuff. Listen, man. Anybody on YouTube talking about the Bible, if you ain't never lost nothing, you ain't never had to apologize to the Most High, if he always seemed like he come through for you, you not ready. I know it. You not ready. And don't be wanting this stuff to happen or whatever. You should be glad it hasn't. But you ain't ready yet. Because sometimes the Most High will turn and let everybody come against you. Then he be like, okay, now go preach. You done battle everybody. Everybody seem like they're against you. They ignore everything you say. He'll be like, all right, now go preach. Y'all think this stuff is peachy. Peaches and cream. You got to check your ego in, especially with God. You would get much farther in life by checking your ego in. Like a lot of, when I made rash decisions, it was my ego. My ego. You know how you'll go and finance a car because the car you got don't look all that good, don't sound all that good, so you want to go and get this car to look better. Then the car you go get start doing the same stuff your car was doing, and you end up not wanting to pay for it or some stuff. That's ego. Anybody just talking about they always win, I can't listen to you. Everybody like you always win, I'm not gonna listen to you. I listen to people that done lost because it make them hungry. And when they hungry, they're gonna give you something that you could use. That's how it be. Like back in the early 2000s, I'm getting ready to close. Back in the early 2000s in Milwaukee, we had what we call the Big Three. Sam Cassell, Glenn Robinson, Ray Allen, right? Their egos, they literally shouldn't. Now watch this. They egos is the reason why they didn't win the championship. I believe if the Big Three played the Milwaukee Bucks we got right now, no disrespect to Giannis, but it would be a game, and it could go either way. It was their egos. Somebody told me they had a black curtain in the locker room. These dudes that was cool was on this side. The other dudes that was cool was on the other side. They should have been beating everybody. Just like when that whole thing happened with Scott Williams and he couldn't play the next game. Their egos is why they lost. They was too mad. They couldn't believe the refs did them like that. They should have beat out even with Iverson. Iverson was balling, but we should have beat him. Egos. Egos. Aaron Rodgers couldn't beat Detroit. The Detroit Lions, I mean, they're getting better. But he couldn't beat Detroit. Ego. Just like Jordan Love. You know why I know I got us going 11-5 this year? Because Jordan Love got a chip on his shoulder. Look at his eyes. He's hungry. Ain't no ego there. And if he control his ego, you know who control their ego? Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback. But what makes him even greater is he knows how to control his ego. Same thing with Montana in the 90s. Montana used to control his ego. That's why you couldn't beat him. They couldn't beat him. Tom Brady on the field, you couldn't beat him because he controlled his ego. He was taking pay cuts, all type of stuff, just to win. A lot of guys' egos in the way. You said something slick to some dude you didn't have to say. You thought everybody was scared of you. As guys just dead because they thought everybody was scared of him. Blam. Yeah, he wasn't. He wasn't. Your ego get in the way. Guys be at school dancing on tables. You ain't at school for that ego. But then, 15 years later, you got 50 Cent? Still dealing with ego. That's why they won't go work. Now, I ain't working these jobs. You got to do something. Ego. Ego. E-G-O. I know when I talk, it probably sounds like I'm talking about the bird, ego. I'm talking about ego. Egotistical. Let's look up the definition in close. Let's see what it say. And get a pronunciation on it. Give me 1 second. All my little definitions I'll be looking up is coming up. Okay.
Ego.
Y'all hear? Let's turn it up.
Ego.
A person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. Now, you're supposed to have self-esteem. You're supposed to view yourself as important. But ego is when you go beyond this and you can't even treat people right. You can't even treat situations right. This is why the murder rate is so high. Ego. This is why the dollar bill is shrinking. Ego. It ain't, listen, man, we still the richest country in the world. But this country is being taken down from within. That's just a fact.
Ego.
The psychoanalysis says the part of the mind that mediates between the conscious and the unconscious and is responsible for reality testing and a sense of personal identity. Okay, somebody gave a full somebody gave a full meaning of it. Their sense of their own worth. You need some ego, but you got to control it. Remember I gave you the example of Shaq. He said, I could have won 7 championships with Kobe Bryant. But he said he wasn't taking, I won 150. He wouldn't take less than 150 million. When he could have really made movies. I mean, he made some good music. Shaq Diesel, we used to bump Shaq. So, okay, this now they says, the one who suffers from a huge ego, I kind of agree with this, sees their opinion as the only one that matters. See, this is why people can't learn truth too. This is why people only watch certain content creators. Now, the last thing, 6 signs, this is LinkedIn, 6 signs of a person suffering from a huge ego. And they gave us, says, always remember, too much ego will kill your talent. And that's true. Let's see what they got listed. Wait a minute. They trying to make me pay to see this? Okay, here it is. It says, number 1, they always have to be right. Listen, when I was egotistical, I understand what they saying. But the way you battle being egotistical and you're learning is you have to know when you're wrong and correct it. If you right, you got to stand by it. That's not being egotistical. If you wrong, you got to correct it. Number 2, they always want more. Now, this could go either way. It depends on that person's life and situations. Because this can be misunderstood and mistaken for ambition. Number 3, they must always win. Remember I gave you the example of Tom Brady. Who would want a woman that done went with your kid's karate instructor? He just don't want people to see him lose. And I'm gonna tell you something. Why my lip always shining right there? I be thinking I got something. Oh man. I ain't got nothing on my face. See, it's still shining. It says, number 4, they require constant recognition. Now that's ego. That's ego. Sometimes you should be recognized. See, you got to know the difference because sometimes you have to leave where you're not wanted. Like, it's a difference. Like, but when a person is driven by ego, they always need recognition. You got to know the difference, though. Like, you got to know when some people should be giving you your recognition and they don't. Okay, you don't appreciate me. Let me go somewhere else. That's not always ego. Number 5, they have one-sided conversations. Now, that's ego. When the person can't get a word in with you, you got to always talk. And the people do this thing now where they hang up the phone or mysteriously hang up when you start talking. That's ego. And number 6, they lack empathy. That's definitely ego. If you don't care about other people at all, that you got a huge ego, man. You need to check it in, because eventually people gonna start calling you on it. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. I ain't mean to talk about it this long, but you know. Hey man, hit the like button. Let the ads play. Buy something that you need from these ads that come on here. You know. But subscribe if you have not done so. And when I do it live, turn on your notification bell and be in the house. Y'all make me not even want to do lives. You know, I'm giving you stuff that people pay for free. But anyway, stay tuned for Sunday sermon tomorrow. This is The Truth Man. The channel is the No Matrix, No Simping, All Subjects channel. Hey, and listen, your ego too huge, do this too.